this time we'll have a children's message with Miss Wendy. Kids, come on out.
I'm not using it. I have to be loud so somebody might hear. Come on up, kids. Nobody messed with it, so nobody got hurt. That was really important. All right. So has anybody ever seen one of these?
Oh yeah, my dad messes in his boat.
Okay, that's right. But this one is bigger than just a mousetrap. He said in his boat. That was very important. Okay, in his boat he has them. All right. So this is a rat trap. It's a little bit bigger. Does anybody know how they work? How does it work? It's not set yet. Yes. Whoops. That's right. So we're gonna put a little bait right here. Thank you very much. That was a great demonstration. And then we're gonna set it. And here's the very important thing that I learned last night. Make sure this area stays clear of all important fingers. Have a really big bruise, okay? So we're gonna set the trap. Are you ready? We'll see if I can do this without using the table. This is a test for me. So the trap is now set, right? So we're going to take this pencil. We're going to pretend like this is the rat, okay? And he's going to come up and he's going to smell the cheese and he's going to take the cheese. Are you ready? It's going to clap really loud. Are you ready? Just like that. It's going to catch. Oh, it didn't break. It broke my last pencil. All right? So that and this trap is going to teach us something today, okay? It's going to teach us about faith. So how many of you guys know what faith is? It's a really big word. Really big word, well, small word with a big meaning. Okay? And the theological or the biblical definition for faith is trust with action. Okay? So if you believe something, you believe it where? What's this up here? Your brain, your mind. That's good. Just shout out your answers. They're not wrong. All right? Trust goes a little deeper and it engages your heart, right? Then faith goes a little bit deeper than that and it engages some action. So if I believe, I can believe right now that that chair will hold me. And I can have faith that that chair will hold me. But until I sit in that chair, I have no faith. Okay? That's kind of a boring example, so we're going to get a little more exciting here, okay? So first of all, I need to ask you a question. How many of you know or believe that I love you? Okay, I love you all, just so you know. All right. How many of you trust that I love you? All right, now here comes the big question. Don't answer till the very end. How many of you are willing to put your faith in me? Because faith is more than just believing it with your mind or trusting it with your heart. It might have you do something that will defy logic. It might defy trust. And it means I need a volunteer. Sawyer, are you brave enough to do this?
What?
Come here, let me show you. Like, maybe not. All right, first, do you believe that I love you? Okay, I got a halfway up there. Do you know that I would never ask you to do anything where you would get hurt? You have to know that I will not ask you to get hurt. Do you trust me? All right, so I'm going to set the rat trap again. See if I can get it set. Okay, now I need you to have enough faith in me to put your finger on the bait. Do you trust me? She trusts me. Let's see. She did put it there and she did jump. But it's enough. It's okay now. You had to come up front. All right. So really good. You did trust me and you did have faith in me. Let me tell you what James says in his book. James says in the Bible that, I want to make sure I get the verse right, you believe in God. Well, that's really good, because the demons, they believe in God and they shudder. There's a lot of people that say they trust in God, but the question is, do they have faith in God? And sometimes that means putting your finger on the line or your life on the line for Jesus. So we're going to go downstairs and see what else we can learn today. Okay, let's go.
Well, at this time, if you haven't passed the friendship heads, please do so we can get an account of your visit with us and prepare your hearts for the offering. The head that once was crowned with thorns is crowned with glory now. The Savior knelt to wash our feet. Now I see behind.
Now in majesty, the radiance of earth and light now shines for all to see. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Fear that held us now gives way to Him who is our peace. His final breath upon the cross is now alive in me. And your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Yeah. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. Faith. This song is the culmination of our faith. Without the resurrection, there is no power behind our Christianity.
sing this next line with me, this next lyric with me, and just thank God for the empty grave. That's our faith. The tomb where soldiers marched in vain was borrowed for 3 days. His body there would not remain, 'cause our God is robbed of grace. Our God is robbed of grace. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me.
Let us pray. O Christ, our resurrected King, accept these gifts, the gifts of our hearts, the gift of our lives, the gifts of our hands, the gift of all that we have. Hold these gifts in your heart. Encourage and use these gifts to do much greater things than we could ever do by ourselves. Bless the hearts and hands that share. Bless the hearts and hands that receive. Make all of this a reflection of your holy name in which we pray. Amen. That is impressive. Just like that. Boom. It's all set. Ready for me. It is a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you very much for the opportunity. If you were here, what I was told, it was a year ago, I guess, that Pastor David was ordained and installed as the pastor here, and I was here for that. Actually, there's a picture of me in his office as part of that group. That's very nice. An interesting point, too, with Swift Creek. My first time worshiping with Swift Creek, actually, was about 30 years ago. Anybody here from the movie theater days? A couple of hands. That was big. I tried it once, but my feet were sticking to the floor. It was just kind of odd, just to try to worship God in the movie theater, but I did try. No, it is a pleasure to be with you today. And as we get into this, join me in prayer again. Holy God, bless this reading and hearing. Hold us here to this moment now in your presence, in your spirit. In your name we pray. Amen. I'm going to start here with a pretty familiar passage probably for all of you, Psalm 23. But my hope and prayer is that after doing this, you will come away with something that's perhaps different. Reading from the English Standard Version. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Anybody know who wrote that? David, of course, right? We know that. David. David is, I'll get back to the other passage later, don't worry, I didn't forget. David is an interesting character. We know David, King David, the great hero of the Jewish people, David, the nation of Israel, the leader, the greatest king in the history. David, who started out as a young person, a young boy, in that confrontation with Goliath, of course, who was a Philistine, right? David, who ended up in the court of Saul, King Saul, was a comfort to Saul, Saul enjoyed David's company and presence. But David was really good at one thing, besides worshiping God. Killing Philistines. Right? David, all right, what is this, PG-13 or something like that? I don't know. David had his fun with Philistines, and it's probably a bad way to put it. But you know what? There was a song going through the streets. What was that song? Saul has killed his thousands. David has killed his 10,000s. Right. Well, yeah, that's great for David, but for Saul, that's not so good, right? It looks bad. Saul starts to get worried about David becoming more important and popular than he is. So Saul gets all undone. Who knows how, but he gets all undone. But he starts to resent David, and he is threatened by David, and he wants to kill David, right? Actually physically tries to take his life. Finally, he says, look, I'm just going to bring my army out and go after you. So he does. He gets the army to go hunt David down. David, of course, he's not going to fight Saul. Saul is his king. He's still the king of Israel. Saul's still God's king here. So he takes his men and he goes out in the wilderness, and it's like this cat and mouse game. Christ, David had a couple opportunities to kill Saul and didn't. But finally, it just gets to be too much. Too much chasing, too much worrying, and David doesn't see a way out of this. He knows that sooner or later this is going to go south. He has his back up against a wall. Saul and his army on one side, the whole nation of the Philistines on the other side. Remember those Philistines? David has to make a choice. What's he going to do? Give up? Hey, sorry, Saul, do with me whatever you will. Maybe he could flee, be like coward. That's not David. Then he could run off to Egypt or something like that, right? No, that's not what David does. 1 Samuel 27. Then David said in his heart, now I shall perish one day by the hand of Saul. There's nothing better for me than I should escape to the land of the Philistines. Then Saul will despair of seeking me any longer within the border of Israel, and I shall escape out of his hand. So David arose and went over, he and the 600 men who were with him, to Achish, the son of Maoch, the king of Gath. And David lived with Achish at Gath, he and his men, every man with his household, and David with his 2 wives, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail of Carmel, Nabal's widow. And when it was told to Saul that David had fled to Gath, he no longer sought him. Then David said to Achish, if I have found favor in your eyes, let a place be given to me in the country towns that I may dwell there. For why should your servant dwell in the royal city with you? So that day Achish gave him Ziklag, which is one of the coolest names in the Bible, I think. Therefore, Ziklag has belonged to the kings of Judah to this day. And the number of days that King David lived in the country of the Philistines was 1 year and 4 months. Why do I bring this up? You read Psalm 23 a minute ago, right? We listened to it, we heard it, we absorbed it. Psalm 23 is a fantastic psalm. We love the psalm. It's a psalm of comfort, consolation, confidence. We think that's a great thing, right? It's one of our favorite psalms. Except for verse 5. Verse 5 I kind of call the speed bump of Psalm 23. Did you read that line? Did you notice that? I did emphasize it a little bit for effect. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You find that a comforting thought? I mean, really? That'd be like me picking up my people and going to Afghanistan and finding a Taliban village and having a table there at someone's house and thank you, Jesus, for bringing me here. Anybody sign up for that one? But do you see what's going on? This is exactly what's happened. This is a psalm of comfort, and this line is a line of comfort and promise, because when David composed this line in his heart, there he was, right? Sitting there in Ziklag, giving God thanks for giving him a safe place to live, even if it was among his enemies. Another way, and actually all of this is about growing in faith, and I appreciate the children's message because it's kind of dovetails a little bit with what I'm doing. There's another way I'm going to talk to you about growing in faith here, and it has to do with Peter. Peter is one of those characters that, you know, we kind of just love him. We love him because he's very human and we can relate to him, and it's great. But Matthew 14, this is immediately after the feeding of the 5,000. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, while he was dismissing the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone. But the boat, by this time, was a long way from the land, beaten by the waves, for the wind was against them. And in the fourth watch of the night, he came to them, walking on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, "It is a ghost!" And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid." And Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him and said to him, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." This is another one of these stories that just, it's hard for us to appreciate. But it's one of those impossible situations, isn't it? Sort of like with David. Peter and his other disciples, well, not his disciples, but the other disciples are in the boat. And if you've ever seen one of these kinds of boats, I got to go to Israel, and they have one of these actual fishing boats from this time in a museum that was preserved in the mud. And imagine, for your will, it's like a long canoe, maybe from the wall to about here, a little wider, and it's not what we would really want to be in a storm, okay? Peter was a fisherman, along with some of the other disciples. Do you think they'd ever known anybody who had died out there on the Sea of Galilee? Because in the Sea of Galilee, the way the geography works, you did get these sudden changes in weather. The way the winds would come through and get caught up, and it's the way it is. Now, when I was out there, we went on the water, and it was idyllic. It was beautiful. But when Peter was out there with his disciple friends, between 3 and 6 a.m., they'd been working all night against this weather. They thought they were undone. That was it. How do we get forward? What do we do? And then to have Jesus show up, it was beyond imagination. He was freaking out beyond. I mean, there was no way to understand this for him. So he is in that situation. What do I do? Stay in the boat? Not a great idea. Go to where Jesus is. That's also kind of a crazy idea. But what does he do? Does he give up to fear? No. He steps out of the boat. Some people give Peter a hard time about this. Of course, Jesus seems to rub a little bit here. But if you notice, Peter actually did it. He walked out on the water. He walked up to Jesus. Because when he started to sink, all what Jesus had to do was reach out his hand. I give Peter some props here. This is a pretty impressive thing. Now, I don't know if you've caught Tomega's similarities. There's something I've signaled here that might clue you in. Like I said, also related to a certain passage or a certain message from the children's lesson. Talking about people who were in these intense, difficult, even dangerous situations who had a choice to either give up, to fold up in fear, or to do something different, to grow in faith. Faith, of course, does have to do with trust. And let me tell you something about faith and fear. Fear is the greatest enemy of faith. It's not doubt. Actually, doubt can be useful sometimes, and you kind of have to go through doubt to grow in faith. That's a different thing. That's a different sermon. For now, I want you to think about this. Fear is the enemy of faith. The devil cannot make you do anything, but fear can. Fear can control us. It can dictate our actions. It can make us lesser people. And it usually keeps us from doing anything, which means we're not doing anything loving or helpful. No faithful decision ever in the history of the world has been made out of fear. And I'm not talking about godly fears you see in the wisdom psalms or the wisdom books. And I'm not talking about phobias. You can go ahead and be nervous about heights or bugs or even cats. Allurophobia, yeah. They're shady creatures. I don't trust them myself. They make me nervous. No, the fear I'm talking about is the good old-fashioned human earthly fear where the worries of the world get bigger and bigger and bigger, and our trust in the power, presence, and provision of God gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Even though nothing in all creation can separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord, we fear. Even though God, we can do anything through God who strengthens us, we fear. Even though God has us securely in his heart and will not let us be moved, we still manage to cling to fear. Because we have the what ifs, right? What if something happens? What if we fail? What if we make the wrong decision? What if we make a fool of ourselves? What if we are rejected? Well, guess what? We will. We will fail. We will be rejected sometimes. We will make wrong decisions sometimes. But with the world crying out for more and better expressions of righteous and godly mercy and Christ-like justice, it's just not an option. Go ahead and plan and make wise preparations. Be smart in what we do. But to do nothing with our insecurities, our uncertainties, in a world where people are struggling right here, where people are struggling right here, to do nothing is evil. Another way of thinking about this, love and faith are really two sides of the same coin. Both with regard to God and to one another. We grow more in love with someone. The more we grow in love with somebody, the more we trust them, right? That trust builds love. The two go hand in hand. It can't really be separated. It's really, really hard to love somebody you can't trust. On the flip side, try trusting your deepest heart to somebody that you cannot love. Faith in God means growing more in love with God. Growing more in love with God means building that trust, that faith. So, you know what though? To grow a relationship, you can't just do nothing, right? In order to do, if you're afraid to do nothing with somebody else, you're never going to grow in that relationship. It'll never grow. Every person here knows that a relationship grows through being tested in the trials of life, right? You laugh together, you cry together, you work together, you rejoice together, you suffer together. You live life in all of its messy complexity together. How far will you get with fear ruling your heart? No, fear will keep you in the baby pool, friends. Why is this so important to me? Well, I found myself pretty deeply hurt by fear in the church. My very sense of call was shaken when I was looking for a faith response. Through years of wrestling with this, I have embarked on a new part of my journey in faith. I left a better paying job with better benefits for the opportunity to do what I felt God was leading me to do. And even now, it's not quite what I expected. I haven't received the answers. I don't know what the future has in store. I don't know if I'll ever be working in the church again, but I'm not afraid of what may come. And without that decision, I wouldn't be here today. Aren't you blessed? We're all going to face those times of decision, right? And the Greek word for decision is actually crisis. When a crisis happens, you have to make a decision. That's why these things work together like this. It makes sense. The question in a crisis is how you will respond. What decision will you make? David responded in faith by making his home among the enemy. Peter responded by stepping out of the boat. They grew in their love for God, and they fell into love with greater faith. Of course, your time is coming. Maybe it's right now. Maybe you're waiting for a prompt to move in love. Here it is. Go for it. Go with God in love. And that's the best answer you'll ever receive. Go with God in love. Even if you fail, go with God, who will bring all things to good for those who love God and are called according to his purposes. You are not alone. As the unintentional prophet Roosevelt, of course, said, there is nothing really to fear but fear. I'm going to wrap it up with Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. There's a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her when the morning dawns. The nations rage, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. God of Jacob is our fortress. Come, behold the works of the Lord, how he's brought desolations on the earth. He makes war cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us, my friends. The God of Jacob is our fortress. To God be the glory. finding your heart, your presence, your spirit working here among us. As we recommit ourselves to being fearless, as we recommit ourselves to falling more in love with you and building that trust by daring to walk into life and all that it is every day. Build up your people. We ask your special blessing for that special building, for your mercy, your kindness, your loving kindness, your faithfulness in the lives of those who are hurting right now. So many of our brothers and sisters are struggling in this very moment. We know you are with us. Show us, amaze us, overwhelm us with that presence. Give us those reminders and help us to be those reminders. I do ask for your blessing for your children in all places, all of your children. And help us to rejoice in that blessing ourselves, to find us all as one people in Jesus, in whose name we pray. Amen.
Let's go ahead and stand.
It's just for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am the tree, bending leaves, the wave of his wind and mercy. And all of a sudden, I'm unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory. And I realize just how beautiful you are now. Great your affections are for me. Oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us so. It's just for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am the tree, bending the leaf, the wave of his wind and mercy. All of a sudden, I'm unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory. And I realize just how beautiful you are now. Great your affections are for me. Oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us so. Yeah, he loves us. Oh,
I count on one thing, the same God that never fails will not fail me now. He won't fail me now in the way. The same God who's never late is working all things out, working all things out. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh, yes, I will. I know one thing, the same God who never fails will not fail me now. He won't fail me now in the way. The same God who's never late is working all things out, working all things out. Oh yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Oh yes, I will for all my days. Oh yes, I will. I choose to praise, to glorify, glorify the name of our name. Nothing can stand against. I choose to praise, to glorify, glorify the name of our name. Nothing can stand against. I choose to praise. Glorify, glorify the name of our name. Nothing can stand against. I choose to praise. Glorify, glorify the name of our name. Nothing can stand against. Oh yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh yes, I will sing for joy when my heart